What's going on, football fans? This is me, your boy Larry B, inviting you to join myself, Callum Reynolds, Mike Pat, and John Felipe for one of the most electrifying football shows you have ever heard. 3 and Out, right here at IE Sports Radio. Recap of the week before, a preview of what's to come, and of course, 3 hardcore head-to-head prime-time face-offs each week. You don't want to miss it.
What is going on, IE Sports Radio fans? It's your boy, the SoCal Saint, on a special Wednesday edition of the IE Elite Wrestling Show, your direct feed for all that is professional wrestling on the only network that is your direct feed for all that is sports, IE Sports Radio. It's your boy, the SoCal Saint. If you're following me on the Twitter, thank you. That's at IElitePod. If you're not, go ahead and follow me, please, at IElitePod. Follow the hub of all the IE Sports Radio shows at IE Sports Radio. And check out our website, the official IE Sports Radio website. That's IESportsRadio.com. Please check it out, guys. And do us a favor. We are on pretty much damn near every streaming platform you can think of to listen to our podcasts. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, CastBox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Geo7, I think I'm saying that right, and on YouTube. So there's many ways to listen to our show if you're not listening to us currently live on the Spreaker. If you are listening live, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're listening later on the download, thank you, and I do appreciate you. Leave us a like, please, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and you will not be disappointed. We put on hell of a shows every time we're on the air, no matter what the topic: baseball, football, basketball, volleyball, racing, and my show, professional wrestling. So what is going on, everyone? Wow, I know a lot of people are waiting to hear my thoughts on Forbidden Door, which was the AEW and New Japan show that happened this past Sunday. We'll get to that here in just a few moments. Also, we're going to get into a preview of this coming weekend's premium live event for the WWE coming out of London at the O2 Arena. That's going to be Money in the Bank. That's a big one. I'm really going to be giving my in-depth analysis on that and who I feel should win the briefcase for the men and the women in the Money in the Bank ladder matches. And, of course, the Bloodline Civil War, which we will get a preview of this coming Friday, the last day before the premium live event on SmackDown, where SmackDown will be live in London as well. There are superstars already over there in London after this past Monday night on Raw. I had just been scrolling Twitter and saw a bunch of superstars already taking pictures, sightseeing in the area and doing media. So they're already there. They're across the pond, and they're ready for this weekend's big, big event. And this is the last big event before the next huge event, which is coming live from Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan. SummerSlam going to be coming to you guys next month in August. We'll get more on that as we get closer and closer to that. Also, I want to preview the upcoming pay-per-view, the second biggest pay-per-view for Impact Wrestling behind their annual pay-per-view Bound for Glory, which will be Slammiversary. A lot of big matches already announced for Slammiversary as well. We'll get into that later. So we're going to throw in some tidbits here. So far today, I was hoping to be able to give you guys a quick little review of the first video game launch for All Elite Wrestling, which is AEW Fight Forever. That was actually supposed to launch today. If you pre-ordered the Elite Edition of AEW Fight Forever. And the Elite Edition came with, of course, any version of the game comes with, if you pre-ordered it, that is, both versions of Matt Hardy. You get Hardy Boys Matt Hardy and Broken Matt Hardy. But with the Elite Edition, it comes with the launch of FTR, the Tag Team Champions Dax Hardwood and Cash Wheeler, and some mini games. And basically, it's like their season pass that you signed up for their first few blocks of downloadable content DLC, which in the next month or so we will see. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. I do apologize. Sorry, it just dawned on me. The next DLC will be Keith Lee and the Bunny, and then the third release of DLC will be the FTW World Champion Hook and Danhausen, and both of those blocks of DLC will also come with mini games. More mini games attached to them because AEW will have some mini games in the game as well, kind of like a Mario Party type of feel to it. That's the best way to describe it if you ever played the video game Mario Party. I was hoping to be able to give you guys a review today because I did pre-order the Elite Edition of AEW Fight Forever, but I did it for my Nintendo Switch and not my PlayStation 4 as of yet. So apparently the pre-launch access was only for PlayStation systems, both 4 and 5, and the Xbox systems. So we didn't get an early release on the Nintendo Switch, which I feel is kind of, that kind of sucks. But oh well. Maybe the next episode of the IE Elite Wrestling Show, I'll be able to give you guys my own personal review of the video game because it will launch for me tomorrow. I will have access to play the video game tomorrow. So next episode, I will be able to give you guys a review because that's where it launches nationwide. It'll hit store shelves on June 29th, and if you want to access it through your respective video game consoles and whatnot, it'll launch tomorrow. Live as well on all platforms, including PC. So there's a little tidbit for you there. Let's get into some wrestling news here. A little bit of wrestling news that I got for you. So he has done it. He has surpassed another milestone in his really historic modern day title reign. The Tribal Chief himself, Roman Reigns, just 3 days ago has surpassed the 1,027-day title reign of legend Hall of Famer Pedro Morales as WWE World Champion. Roman now ranks among the top 5 longest championship reigns in wrestling history with an incredible 1,028-day reign. Now, that was 3 days ago, so now he should be up to 1,031-day reign as champion. So, I gotta say, you gotta acknowledge the Tribal Chief. So congratulations to Roman Reigns on setting another record in his long-running title reign that started in the summer of 2020. Got some tidbits here on the Khan family, the owners of All Elite Wrestling, Shad Khan and son Tony Khan. They are. This is actually this is more MMA news, but I wanted to break it on here since they are the owners of All Elite Wrestling. Apparently, Bellator MMA is looking to sell, and apparently the Khan family is interested in buying Bellator MMA. They already own Fulham FC, AEW, and the Jacksonville Jaguars, but it looks like they have their eyes set on that MMA organization. Bellator MMA's Scott Coker recently confirmed the company is for sale, and there have been talks with the PFL. Ariel Helwani said today on MMA Hour that he has heard about multiple players that are interested. Helwani said, I know that PFL was one of those players that looked into them. Helwani said that PFL backed out, but they're back in the mix as a potential buyer. He also said that Liberty Media and the Khan family have looked into them. He said, to what degree is unknown. When I'm talking about the Khan family, I'm talking about Shad Khan and his son Tony Khan. Bellator MMA is considered the number 2 promotion behind the UFC. Most of their shows air on Showtime, but they have struggled to gain enough traction where they would be considered a real threat to the UFC. Perhaps that would change if the Khans or PFL buy them out. And if you want to look into that more, you could check out the video where Ariel Helwani discussed this on the MMA Hour on YouTube. Just search for the MMA Hour on YouTube and actually check out that particular episode. But yeah, so that's interesting. Only just a couple months, removed from the big announcement that Endeavor has purchased the WWE, and now the WWE and UFC are under one umbrella. And now it looks like Tony Khan and his father Shad are potentially trying to do the same thing with the number 2 MMA organization in Bellator, which is crazy to me. I mean, I know these guys have, pardon my French, fuck you money. They could just throw it away on anything. Hell, they already own a football team in Europe, the Fulham FC. They own the NFL's Jacksonville Jaguars. They own their own wrestling company, the number 2 wrestling company. Don't tell them that. Of course, in their minds, they believe they're number 1. The number 2 organization in the world right now, All Elite Wrestling. And now they want to purchase the number 2 mixed martial arts organization in the country in Bellator. So that's, I mean, that's just, I don't know. I mean, I feel like everything that the Khans do, particularly Tony, is in reaction to what the WWE does. He should just worry about what he is doing, day-to-day operations of All Elite Wrestling, and not worry about the WWE. I mean, good for them. I gave them their props for being able to potentially sell out the Wembley Stadium for their huge stadium show, their first ever stadium show at All In London, which will be here sooner rather than later in the next month, in the next month. But I feel like everything that they do is it's a reaction to what WWE does. And this deal, of course, it's still a big story. The fact that Endeavor is now the owner of World Wrestling Entertainment, which has been up until this point a family-owned company, before they went public and whatnot, and they have shareholders and stockholders that they have to appease to. But I mean, the McMahon family has always been in charge. I mean, technically they still are, but they're not their own separate entity anymore. They're now a part of a larger entity, and now it looks like AEW is trying to do the same, or excuse me, the Khan family is potentially attempting to do the same thing. They've got their foothold in football, in American football, in professional wrestling, and now this. They want to put their foot and their imprint in mixed martial arts. Only time will tell. And we'll see what goes on with that. If I get more information about that or hear any more information about this potential purchase of Bellator, if it even happens, because they're interested. It hasn't said that they're actually in talks, but they're interested. If it goes further than that, I will definitely bring that here to the IE Elite Wrestling Show and update you guys more on that. So, a big story came out over the weekend that apparently Nick Khan, the president of the WWE, and the chief creative officer, Triple H, Paul Levesque, the son-in-law of Vince McMahon, were very, very displeased and just disappointed at how last Friday's episode of SmackDown turned out. Excuse me. Apparently Vince was up to his old tricks, butchering the creative that had already been set in stone, forgetting matches that had already been announced a week in advance, never took place, and the show was literally changed from top to bottom, and Nick Khan and Triple H were very, very displeased at how the show turned out. But the head of Endeavor, whatever Vince has gotten, whatever relationship Vince has with the head of Endeavor, has said that they want Vince in the mix. They want Vince in charge until he's dead, pretty much. There's no way around it. Vince isn't going anywhere. Vince has somehow fucking snaked his way back in, and this is what happens. Television has been great off and on since that sad news was made apparent after the sale of the WWE after WrestleMania came to light. But we really got to see it this past Friday on SmackDown. I was at work, but I did have it on the screens at work, and I was watching it in between calls and whatnot. And the feel wasn't there like it was the past 2 weeks. I mean, there was some moments, but I mean, nothing really stood out like the last 2 weeks had done. So, I mean, they still did a huge number. They still did great numbers, ratings-wise, but I mean, just the content itself just wasn't there like it has been. And you could tell that was Vince just sticking his fingers into the creative, and this is what came out here. So Vince McMahon reportedly canceled many matches for last week's SmackDown. Hence, Triple H and WWE higher-ups have been displeased at the 77-year-old's last-minute creative inputs. Last week on the Blue Brand, matches such as Bayley versus Shotzi, LA Knight versus Butch, Bayley versus Shotzi, LA Knight versus Butch versus Santos Escobar, and Cameron Grimes versus Baron Corbin were all removed from the card despite being advertised beforehand. Now, take this with a giant grain of salt because of who it's coming from. It's coming from fucking Tuna Meltzer himself, Dave Meltzer, of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. This is what he said on his podcast. It's got to be frustrating for the writers. It's got to be frustrating for Paul Levesque, Triple H. The thing is, it's Vince. You can't say anything. That's what somebody brought up to me. If you're a writer, you can't say anything to Vince. Even if you're Paul Levesque, you can't say anything to Vince because it's like you're fucked if you say anything to Vince. You can't say anything, which is fucking crazy to me. I can understand the writers being like just intimidated and afraid to say anything to Vince, but for his own son-in-law to not be able to fucking speak up and say something like, "Hey, Pops, what the fuck are you doing?" Like, this is, what I mean? Like, well, hell, pal. This is my show still, right? Look at my mustache. Whatever. Dave Meltzer continued on to say, they're trying to figure out a way to have him not do this. One person noted to me, Dave Meltzer, it would be a lot better if you did it the day before or 2 days before because he's doing it the day of the show. Since WWE was sold to Endeavor in April of 2023, Vince McMahon has allegedly returned to the company's creative team in some capacity. On the other hand, McMahon's son-in-law, Triple H, is the main roster's head booker and the chief creative content officer. Many stars have found new form under the game's leadership. In contrast, Sheamus feels his Brawling Brute faction has struggled to gain momentum due to the inconsistent booking. During a recent interview with Metro, Sheamus stated that his group does not get the same creative treatment as other top stables in the promotion. And this is what Sheamus had to say. It's frustrating, I don't know. Maybe we'll get an opportunity to show what we can really do as a group because a lot of those other groups who are out there now have definitely got an opportunity that we haven't had to do some storyline stuff, some character stuff. So, I mean, since becoming head of creative, Triple H has thrust stars like Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, LA Knight, Gunther, and Rhea Ripley into the main event scene. So it just seems like there's still some sort of confusion. There's still some sort of back and forth between the two companies. Not the two companies, between the two men, between Triple H and Vince. There should be one vision, and Vince should, realistically, for any sane person, with a functioning brain, would think that he would have complete faith in his son, who grew up a wrestling fan, 1, who was himself a professional wrestler, 2, and has already worked behind the scenes for quite some time, 3, in Triple H. He would have some faith in him not to do this and be like, no, let's throw that out, start from scratch. And the fact that Vince is doing this day of, it almost reminds me of the stories that I've heard over the years about how WCW was run, which is crazy to me because everyone says that going from WCW to the WWF at the time, back in the day, it was like the Wizard of Oz, where it was all black and white and terrible in Kansas, aka WCW. And then when you came to the WWF, it was like being in Oz. It was colorful. It was beautiful. Everything was run so efficiently. You know what I mean? And here in WCW, there was just a jumbled mess where on the day of Nitro, 20 minutes before air, sometimes even less, Eric Bischoff would rewrite the whole fucking show before they go live on air. And now Vince is doing the same thing to Raw and apparently now to SmackDown. I mean, this past Monday night on Raw was a very strong show. I will give credit where credit is due. Hopefully that was more Triple H than Vince because it actually was a coherent show from beginning to end. A good, and it actually did a really big number as the go-home show before Money in the Bank, which was nice to see. So, I mean, I guess we'll keep an eye on this story, this developing story. Hopefully, hopefully something positive instead of continued negativity comes from it. That's what I'm hoping for. Last night, NXT put on a big show. It was the second part of their Gold Rush. The Gold Rush event started last week, and we went over that. We previewed that because we aired on our normal day and time on Tuesdays for the IE Elite Wrestling show. But last night, Gold Rush Week 2 capped off with these matches. It kicked off the night with Tiffany Stratton successfully defending her NXT Women's Championship in her first title defense against the very young but very talented for her age, Thea Hale of Chase University. Thea Hale is only 19 years of age. She is a baby. She's 19 years of age, and she put on a very good match with Tiffany Stratton. The two women went out there and had a really good match. Excuse me. And unfortunately, it was not Thea's time. It will come eventually. Like I said, she's only 19 years old. It will come eventually. But Tiffany Stratton continues as NXT Women's Champion in her first successful title defense. And the coaches for Thea Hale, who were somewhat not members but kind of allies of Chase University, apparently turned and cost her the match unintentionally by distracting the referee, which cost her the match. And then other members of Chase University, including Duke Hudson, apparently had some words with Drew Gulak and Charlie Dempsey, who then attacked Duke Hudson, which prompted the return of the leader of Chase University, Andre Chase himself, to take out Drew Gulak and Charlie Dempsey and restore his position as leader of Chase University. Thea Hale and Duke Hudson and Andre Chase now reunited. In another great match, we got to see two conflicting styles. We got to see the British Strong style of Gallus and the high-flying style of Blade and Enoff in an NXT Tag Team title match. Gallus successfully defends the NXT titles once again, still the NXT Tag Team champions. And in another great match, we got to see Dragon Lee attempt another... excuse me, I'm getting all jumbled up here. Dragon Lee attempted to win the NXT Heritage Cup again in his second attempt at trying to win the NXT Heritage Cup Championship with the new champion Nathan Frazier in his first defense of it. But Nathan Frazier defeated Dragon Lee 2-1 as it is fought under British style rules, British rounds rules. And in a grudge match, Gigi Dolan defeated Kiana James in a nice little grudge match that did not end well for her, though. Kiana James, upset about the loss, hit Gigi Dolan in the back of the head with a heavy bag, which appeared to hold two big-ass cans of paint, which she decided to just pour all over Gigi Dolan in a fit of rage at the end of the match after losing to Gigi Dolan. And Gigi was left in a puddle of blue and orange paint in the middle of the ring. And then we came to the main event of the night. Carmelo Hayes, he is him, and he is still the NXT champion, defeating the now rechristened Lone Wolf, Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin came out last night, reverted back to his pre-main roster gimmick, the Lone Wolf. Same old entrance music, same entrance style. He's back wearing the End of Days Lone Wolf t-shirt in the ring. Baron Corbin reverted back to his old gimmick of the Lone Wolf, but that was not enough to deter this awesome championship reign that Carmelo Hayes is having. Carmelo Hayes still the reigning, defending NXT champion. And we already got matches announced for next week's card. It will be the 4th of July special edition of NXT. The 4th of July edition of NXT will come to you guys live on the USA Network. And these matches have been announced for next week on the 4th of July. Mustafa Ali will go one-on-one with Tyler Bate. A old idea that was thrown around on Raw during the pandemic era of Monday Night Raw. For some reason, they're bringing it back to NXT for some odd reason. I don't understand why, but we'll see how it comes out. In the NXT Underground, yes, NXT Underground, it will be Eddie Thorpe going one-on-one with Damon Kemp. One-on-one, Roxanne Perez will go one-on-one with Blair Davenport. Blair Davenport, of course, was revealed a couple weeks ago as the woman who had been attacking all the NXT women's rosters members in the parking lot. It seemed like almost every week we were getting another superstar injured in the parking lot. Wendy Chu, Nikita Lyons, just to name a couple. And Blair Davenport was revealed to be the culprit behind all those attacks. And Roxanne Perez is going to go one-on-one with Blair Davenport on NXT Live next week. And this could be the final match for the Dyad, who, of course, already said that they were not going to re-sign with NXT or the WWE when their contract was up in October. It looks like this will be the night that they're written off television unless a huge swerve happens and they actually have re-signed and have not said anything to us, but it doesn't look likely. But this match was announced as a losing team leaves NXT match. The Dyad will go 2-on-2 with the Creed brothers. Brutus and Julius Creed versus the Dyad of Schism. And I feel like this match already has a winner and a loser without us already having to watch the match. But like I said, something could potentially happen and change that outcome. They may have changed their mind in the last couple of months. I highly doubt that, but we shall see. So that will come to us live, us fans live, next Tuesday night on USA for NXT. We're going to take a short little break here, and we'll get to my review of Forbidden Door and my preview of WWE Money in the Bank. Stay tuned, guys.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back to the IE Wrestling Show. It's your boy, the SoCal Saint. If you're just tuning in now live, welcome. I was just going over some things. I wanted to review AEW Fight Forever. Unfortunately, I was not able to get my copy as of yet. It hasn't been made available on the Nintendo Switch yet, so I have to wait one more day. But I will bring you that review next week. Also went over some news about potentially the Khan family purchasing Bellator MMA. And some other conflicts between Triple H and Vince McMahon over the WWE creative direction. So let's jump into it. This past Sunday, it came to you live this past Sunday from the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. It was the first AEW pay-per-view held outside of the U.S., and NJPW's first traditional pay-per-view also held outside of the first traditional pay-per-view held in Canada. This was Forbidden Door 2 that came to you live, and this past Sunday. Let's get into it. A lot of matches. This is the thing. I want to say this just right off the bat. This is the thing about AEW shows. This is what I struggle with when I try to watch these pay-per-views, because a lot of it, most of the time, there is some things on there that I do want to see, that I really, really want and I'm interested in. Like I said, I've been talking about it for a couple weeks now, that I was really interested in seeing the Ospreay and Omega match, and in particular the Danielson and Okada match. But these pay-per-views, I don't know what the deal is with Tony Khan, but he does not know how to pace a pay-per-view. He just fucking jumbles it and just puts more and more. I don't think Tony Khan has ever heard of the term less is more, because this pay-per-view was fucking 5 hours long. There's no reason for a wrestling pay-per-view to be 4 or fucking 5 hours long. 4 hours is like, that's the cap. I feel like that should be the absolute cap. But fucking 5 hours or more is just fucking ridiculous. A wrestling show should not be that long. And this is my complaint here. They do a pre-show like WWE does, but they call it the 0 hour, which gives you an hour to purchase the show and whatnot. And WWE does the same thing with their pre-shows before the Premium Live events. Sometimes they have matches on the card. Most of the time they don't. Apparently for AEW, they feel it's necessary to do so. So on top of the already stacked card they had five fucking matches. 5 fucking matches on the pre-show. That's it. Five fucking matches on the pre-show alone, not to mention the other 9 fucking matches I had to count. I had to count to myself. I do apologize for the dead air, but not to mention, they had fucking 5 matches on the pre-show, and then another 9 matches on the fucking main card. They had 14 matches in total. 14 fucking matches in total. That's just fucking ridiculous. And and some of these matches went fucking over 20 minutes. Hell, Ospreay and Omega's match was damn near 40 minutes long. 40 minutes, guys. I will give it credit where credit's due. It was a great match. But did it really need 39 fucking minutes? Let's just get into the review. Okay, on the pre-show, the 0 hour, Tom Lawler defeated Serpentico in a one-on-one match. Tom Lawler was originally scheduled to face Adam Cole at the Forbidden Door on the main card, but apparently Adam Cole showed up sick with a fever or possibly the flu, and Tony Khan and medics for AEW did not clear Adam Cole to compete. Tony Khan has reached out to Tom Lawler and said he would love to have Tom Lawler back when he's available for them to actually potentially have the match at a later time. So Tom Lawler was put into a match on the pre-show against Serpentico, and Tom Lawler defeated Serpentico in the opening match of the night. In the second match of the pre-show, Mogul Embassy, Swerve Strickland, Teo Leone, and Brian Cage and Bishop Khan defeated Chaos, the team of Rocky Romero, Chuck Taylor, Trent Beretta, and El Desperado in an 8-man tag team match. And in the first round of the Women's Owen Hart Cup tournament, we had Ring of Honor Women's World Champion Athena defeat Billy Starks to move up into the quarterfinals of the Owen Hart Women's Tournament. El Fantasmo defeated Stu Grayson in a one-on-one match in the fourth match of the pre-show. And in the final match of the 0 hour, Los Ingobernables de Japón, Shingo Takagi, Bushi, and Hiromu Takahashi defeated the United Empire of Jeff Cobb, Kyle Fletcher, and TJP. And the pay-per-view finally started. And the opening match was for the AEW World Championship. MJF defeated Hiroshi Tanahashi to retain the AEW World title in its opening match. It was a decent match. It was what it was. I feel like it was a typical MJF match. His usual buffoonery and cowardly tactics. Just playing the heel role like he does. In the second match on the card, the first round of the Men's Owen Hart Cup tournament, CM Punk defeated Satoshi Kojima one-on-one. This was definitely not the match that everybody wanted to see at Forbidden Door for Punk. I know a lot of people were really clamoring for Punk versus Kenta, a battle of the GTSs. That never came to fruition for whatever reason. I don't know what the reason was. I don't know if it was on CM Punk's side or if it was on Kenta's side. Who knows? But for whatever reason, that match is yet to happen and may never happen. And instead, they stuck him with Satoshi Kojima in the opening round of the Owen Hart Men's Cup tournament. And this crowd was totally against CM Punk. He got a very mixed reaction. I seen Bully Ray on Twitter say that Punk's reaction reminds him of John Cena. He says he's getting the John Cena treatment where half the crowd loves you and the rest hates you. Maybe so. Who knows? I don't know what the deal is, but this is another thing I want to talk about. I'm glad we finally gotten to the topic of Forbidden Door. But apparently, as you know, the whole brawl-out situation between Punk and the Elite, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Hangman Page, all those fucking childish pieces of shit. This really fucking frustrates me. I'm gonna go off on a little rant. This is gonna be one of those epic shoots, that they talk about. I'm gonna shoot from the hip, okay? This is a legit shoot. I'm about to shoot from the hip. And I hope if Larry B hears the show, or if Taryn, if you're listening, anybody that's listening that's with IE Sports Radio's upper echelon, please clip this. I know you guys like to put clips on Twitter. Clip this and put it on Twitter for me, please. I want this part of the show to be clipped for that specific post, okay? Please. Now, apparently, CM Punk and the Elite had to be kept on separate sides of the arena. What the fuck are we doing, guys? These are grown men acting like fucking children. Absolutely acting like fucking children. Punk has to be on one side of the arena and the Elite have to be kept on the other side of the arena because they don't want to interact at all. How the fuck can this company grow if some of your top stars, and you gotta fucking give credit where credit is due, CM Punk is a fucking star, probably their biggest star they have, name value wise, if he can't get along with the other big stars in your company. This shit would not fly in any other company. This shit would not fly in the WWE. WWE wouldn't do this. They would have these guys fucking hash it out and just fucking be bygones, shake hands, and let's do fucking business. Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, during the Attitude Era, the beginning of the Attitude Era, they didn't like each other. It was well known that these guys hated each other. They even got into a fight that Bret Hart beat Shawn Michaels' ass and pulled a chunk of his hair out. Were they kept separate? Excuse me. Were they kept in separate locker rooms? No. They changed in the same locker room like everybody else. And they put things aside for business. They still went out there and went in the ring and did business. because they knew it would sell tickets. It would make money. Up until the Montreal Screwjob, but that's a whole nother story because that was more Vince than anything, really. But I digress. Or regret, whatever the word is. Booker T and Batista got into it. They got into a fight. Booker, I guess, apparently won. If you remember if you believe the rumors, but they fucking squashed it and they did business. They wrestled more than one pay-per-view against one another for the world title. JBL and the Blue Meanie handled their shit in the ring after JBL punched Meanie and made him bleed at ECW One Night Stand. He put aside, let bygones be bygones, and they had an actual match on SmackDown. Goldberg and Chris Jericho got into a fucking fight, and they still had a pay-per-view match after the fight. That's what I'm saying, guys. Grow the fuck up. And I don't even think I'm not even talking about Punk, because Punk apparently reached out to them. If you believe what Punk says, he reached out to them, and their lawyers said, do not contact my client, or there will be repercussions. Because these fucking pussies, these pussies, I'll say it, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, that may be not politically correct, I apologize. These fucking cowards, better word, I guess, these fucking cowards, Matt and Nick, and Kenny. And it really fucking pains me to say that because I am a fan of Kenny's work as a wrestler. I like Kenny Omega as a wrestler. But this whole situation is not being handled correctly. They're really acting like fucking children. If one guy wants to admit that he was fucking wrong, you should at least fucking hear him out. And some agreement should be made. Some sort of fucking common ground should be found. Because they're leaving so much money on the table. I mean, it's the worst kept secret in wrestling right now. Everybody knows that these guys got into this big, hot, huge fucking fight. It's not a secret. It's been all over the internet. Everybody who's anybody that's in the wrestling business or it has a wrestling podcast or has a wrestling blog knows about what the fuck happened that night in Chicago. Everybody knows. There's no fucking secret about it. So the fact that they can't come to some common ground and just fucking work together, work together and make some fucking money for the company, this is what I feel is going to be the detriment of AEW. AEW is never going to get past a niche audience and a psycho niche fan base until this shit is fucking squashed. Because it hinders the company. It most certainly does. And that's my rant, because it's just fucking ridiculous. It's fucking absolutely childish. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous, and they should all be fucking ashamed of themselves. Not so much Punk, because like I said, if you believe what he said, he reached out. I feel like he did the right thing in trying to reach out to let bygones be bygones. They're being fucking assholes and being little fucking cowards, not wanting to fucking let bygones be bygones and come to some sort of agreement. Their feelings are hurt, and they're gonna just sit and sulk and cry to Tony, and this is how it's gonna go from here on out. And that's my shoot on that. Orange Cassidy in the next match defeated Zack Sabre Jr., Katsuhira Shibata, and Daniel Garcia to retain the International AEW Championship. The AEW International Championship. In the next match for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, Sonata defeated Jungle Boy Jack Perry. After the match, Jungle Boy Jack Perry turned heel by striking Hook and knocking him to the ground. And just giving a big fuck you to the crowd. Jungle Boy Jack Perry is now a heel in AEW. We'll see how that goes. In a 10-man tag team match, it was Team Elite, Hangman Adam Page, Nick and Matt Jackson, Eddie Kingston, and Tomohiro Ishii defeated the Blackpool Combat Club, Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, Claudio Castagnoli, Konsosuke Takashita, and Shota Umino. Wow, I totally butchered those names. Apparently, this was a decent match. I mean, I've heard back and forth. I heard it was boring. I heard Eddie Kingston looked like a fucking idiot out there. I don't know what the deal is with Eddie Kingston. His offense looks fucking horrible. I want to like him because I feel like he's a good talker. But, man, he's got to fucking work on his in-ring style. His in-ring style is fucking garbage. AEW Women's World Championship. Toni Storm defeated and retained the... she retained the AEW Women's World title by defeating Willow Nightingale. And this is the match I mentioned earlier that went almost 40 fucking minutes for the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship. Will Ospreay, with Don Callis in his corner, defeated Kenny Omega to win the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship. Will Ospreay did get a lot of heat. He was kind of doing the Shawn Michaels shtick by humping the maple leaf, the Canadian flag. And apparently, it rained down boos. I didn't hear that because I had to watch the match on silent at my job because I work at a call center, for 911 here in the city of Fort Worth. So I couldn't really hear it. But when I went back and read some stuff, apparently the crowd went fucking nuts, booing wise, whenever Will Ospreay put the crippler crossface on Kenny Omega in Canada. So that did not get... that definitely got a lot of heat on him, so to speak. But they put on a hell of a match. Was it better than their Wrestle Kingdom match? Yeah, I would say it was just as good, honestly. Kenny took a really nasty bump. That's another thing, too. Like, why take bumps like that could potentially end your career or shorten it substantially? He took a really horrible bump. It was a Tiger Driver 93, I think it was called, and Kenny landed right on his fucking head. And I saw some idiot on Facebook on one of these wrestling groups that I follow, where he was trying to justify the type of bump that Kenny took, saying that Kenny's such a professional. He took it on his left shoulder. It looked so real, but he's such a genius and he's so safe. No, he fucking landed on his head. Anybody with two fucking functioning eyes could see that Kenny landed right on the fucking top of his head. Okay, I mean, he may have tried to turn his head at some point, but no, he still landed on his fucking head. I don't know what the reason was for taking such a bump like that, but it was fucking stupid. In the second to last match, we had Sting, Darby Allin, and Tetsuya Naito defeating Les Suzuki Gods, Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Minoru Suzuki in a 6-man tag team match. And in the main event, that went 27 minutes and 40 seconds, Bryan Danielson defeated Kazuchika Okada by submission. The only second time in his career that he has ever lost by tap out. Kazuchika Okada has only ever tapped out twice in his career, and this is one of them. Bryan Danielson defeated him with the label lock. Danielson, it was awesome. Danielson came out to his old Ring of Honor entrance theme, the final countdown by the heavy metal hair band, Europe. If anyone knows that, it's the final countdown. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, that'll probably be stuck in your heads now. But yeah, he came out to the final countdown. The crowd went fucking nuts upon hearing those first little synthesizers, da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da. And which was really cool to see. I marked out for that, to see Bryan Danielson come out to the final countdown once again. 10 minutes into the match, apparently, though, he broke his arm. Bryan Danielson broke his arm, legit broke his forearm 10 minutes into the match, and continued another 17 minutes. This guy is fucking nuts, man. Bryan Danielson is a tough son of a bitch. To wrestle another 17 minutes with a broken arm and win the match. That's crazy to me. But kudos to him. They had a great match. I will say it was a great match. Did it live up to expectations? Some say yes, some say no. I mean, it's all subjective. I feel like wrestling itself is subjective. So, I mean, it's the eye of the beholder. You know what I mean? If you feel like it was a great match, it was a great match. If you don't feel like it was a great match, then maybe it wasn't to you. But it certainly was to a lot of others. But that was Forbidden Door, guys. That was the pay-per-view Forbidden Door. And we only got about 10 minutes left. Damn, I ranted a little too long. Let's get into the Money in the Bank preview this Saturday night. The Money in the Bank will take place live in London, England at the O2 Arena with a special start time of 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's going to be 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for myself. Excuse me, no, what the hell? 2 p.m. Central Standard Time for myself, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Pacific end of the United States. And these are the matches in place. Gunther will defend the Intercontinental Championship against Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle and Gunther actually have feuded before on the Indies before both coming to the WWE. So this is going to be a nice little throwback to an old feud that they had on the indie scene, and they'll get to do it on a large stage of the WWE in London. So this should be a hell of a match with Matt Riddle's MMA background and Gunther's British strong style type of wrestling. This is going to be a hard-hitting match. I will not be surprised if both of these men are red and raw in the chest from all these chops and forearms that they'll be giving one another. This should potentially be a very good match. For the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship, after this past Friday night on SmackDown, they unified the NXT and WWE Women's Tag titles. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler defend their tag team titles against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Seth freaking Rollins defends the World Heavyweight Championship against Finn Balor. And I'm looking for a really good match between these two. They're going to run it back 7 years ago when it was for the Universal Championship. Rollins and Balor. Balor won that match, but did not get to have any type of reign with the title because in the same match he won the title, he injured his shoulder, and it seemed like he has never, ever recovered from that spot-wise in the company. But hopefully this will be the start of something great. I feel like there should be some sort of interference from someone. I'm kind of almost hoping that we'll see the return of Drew McIntyre either in this match or in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. One-on-one, Dominic Mysterio will go one-on-one with the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's the top babyface in the company, Cody, versus the top heel, one of the top heels, if not the top heel, Dominic Mysterio. That boy, the minute he grabs a microphone, the crowd just rains down boos on him. He has come such a long way in such a short amount of time since he turned heel last summer at Clash of the Castle. So, I mean, kudos to him, or last fall, excuse me, I think that was in the fall, actually. Last fall, excuse me, at Clash of the Castle. So, I mean, it has been such a short time, but he has come into his own, and I feel this should be a great babyface versus heel match on the card. The Money in the Bank ladder match for the Women's Championship contract, any champion is available. Whoever wins this contract, this briefcase, can cash in on either the WWE Women's or the Women's World Championship. Zelina Vega, Becky Lynch, Zelina Vega, Becky Lynch, Zoe Stark, Bayley, Io Sky, and Trish Stratus will all compete for the contract for the women's world title. For the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, we have Ricochet versus Shinsuke Nakamura versus Santos Escobar versus Butch versus Logan Paul versus Damian Priest, and my pick should be everybody's pick to win the briefcase, L.A. Knight. Yeah! And potentially the main event of the show, the Bloodline Civil War Tag Team match. The Bloodline, the undisputed Universal WWE Champion, Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, with Paul Heyman, the wise man, to take on the Usos, Jimmy and Jay Uso. That is the preview. Those are the matches that will be coming to you live this Saturday, July 1st. Special start time, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live from the O2 Arena in London, England. And I only got a few minutes left, but I just wanted to go just talk about Slammiversary real quick. Impact Wrestling will be presenting their big anniversary show, Slammiversary, coming to you live Saturday, July 15th, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's going to be coming to you live from St. Clair College in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. This will be the 21st it will be actually the 19th event under the name Slammiversary, but this will actually be celebrating the promotion's 21st year in business. This company is hanging on for dear life. This company has always been damn near extinction, but somehow they crawl out of the darkness and they are still alive and kicking. Congrats to them on 21 years in business. And these are the matches that have been announced so far for Slammiversary. POC and Scott D'Amore, the president of Impact Wrestling, will go 2-on-2 against Steve Macklin, the former Impact Wrestling World Champion, and Bully Ray. In a one-on-one match for the Impact Knockouts World Championship, Deonna Purrazzo defends the championship against Trinity. In a match that was just announced via their Twitter account at Impact Wrestling, ABC defends the Impact World Tag Team titles against the teams Moose and Brian Mayers, Rich Swann and Sami Callihan, and Subculture in a 4-way dance for the Impact World Tag Team titles. That should be a hell of a tag team match there with those 4 teams and those 8 individuals involved. And the main event for the Impact World Championship, Alex Shelley defends the Impact World title against Nick Aldis. That's coming to you live, guys, July 15th, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific. And you can order the pay-per-view on FightTV.com. Excuse me, at Fight TV, at the Fight TV app, on anywhere else that streams live pay-per-view events. Well, with that said, guys, I'm almost out of time here. I just want to say thank you for tuning in to the special edition of the IE Elite Wrestling Show here this Wednesday. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I enjoyed bringing it to you. And please, again, Taryn, Public Relations, Larry, anyone that's listening, please clip my shoot about the Elite versus CM Punk for the clips that we present on Twitter. Please follow me at the Twitter, on my Twitter, at IE Elite Pod. Follow IE Sports Radio at IE Sports Radio. Check out our website at IESportsRadio.com. I will be in touch, guys, because next week is the 4th of July. It's a very busy day, obviously, in the country, but a very busy day here in the city of Fort Worth, as I will be working a lot of overtime that day. So I may not be able to be live on Tuesday again, and possibly Wednesday as well, because I'll be working late. I actually have an upcoming vacation with my family, and I will be going out of town for a week, and I'm trying to work as much as I can to have some overtime set aside, for our trip. So I will try to figure out some things. I may have to do a pre-recorded show. I know that's not the norm here for IE Sports Radio, but I don't want to leave 2 weeks without a show when I know the week I'm going to be on vacation I won't be available to do a show. So I want to be able to have some sort of show for you guys, but more on that later. It's been a pleasure. It's your boy, the SoCal Saint. I will see you guys again soon. Take care, everyone.